The way we consume and share news today is largely rooted in social media outlets. The reason why I decided it's important to look at what's being discussed online. Like, for example, these random discoveries at the bottom of dried up rivers in parts of China and Europe. For Social Media Minute, we're joined by Erica. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to see you again.
It's great to see you too. All right, so droughts it's never good news. It seems like it's a blaring red flag in all of our faces. Any climate change deniers out there, I mean, this is hard for us to ignore, right? However, there are some discoveries worth mentioning that is celebrated by those who want, well, ancient relics to resurface.
That's right. You know, we've been talking about weeks of severe drought across Europe.
Yeah.
And many countries have seen water levels in their rivers and lakes drop to drastic levels that not many people remember in recent memory. Anyways, the latest drought has been exposing these long submerged relics and even some unwanted hazards, which I'm going to mention in a bit. Now, let me go through some of these countries. Spain is currently suffering its worst drought in decades, but the emergence of a certain prehistoric stone circle dubbed the Spanish Stonehenge has delighted archaeologists. The relic is usually invisible to the eyes, submerged by the waters of a dam.
I guess for archaeologists, this is just a sight to be seen.
Yes,
this
that's
also
right.
means that under normal circumstances, the relic would not be visible to the naked eye, of course.
Correct. Now, officially known as the Dolmen of Guadalperal, the stone circle currently sits fully exposed in one corner of the Valdecañas Reservoir in the central region of Spain, where the water level has dropped to 28% of its normal capacity. And this particular group of stones, the dolmens, was discovered by a German archaeologist back in 1926, but the area was flooded in 1963 in a rural development project. And since then, it has only become fully visible, 4 times. And over in Germany, we mentioned these hunger stones a while back, but there's something called the hunger stones, and these set of hunger stones along the River Rhine, which is Germany's largest river, has reappeared for the first time.
I'm assuming it's also submerged during the majority of the time of the year. Okay.
And many such stones have become visible, which is normally impossible to see because they should be underwater technically.
Okay, so the novelty of the situation clearly attracts all of us to talk about it first thing in the morning. It sits in my stomach rather uncomfortably because what does this mean for the climate crisis? But I think it's worth mentioning because it is visible to a lot of people in Germany. What are the hunger stones?
You know, these are stones bearing the dates and sometimes people's initials from severe droughts from the past. And their reemergence is seen as a warning and a reminder of the hardships people faced during former droughts. And the dates visible on the stones include 1947, 1959, 2003, and most recently 2018.
So it has happened before.
Yes,
and there is a way to commemorate it, I suppose, the hunger stones.
Basically, they say, if you see this, you will weep. Isn't that such a, I don't know how that makes me feel.
Brett, I mean, it is such a beautiful way of writing and remembering, right? I mean, it strikes you right in the heart. It gets our attention.
Yeah. And, it's another reminder that many, many people suffered back then. Now, another of Europe's mighty rivers is the Danube, and it's fallen to one of its lowest levels in almost a century as a result of the latest drought. Now, fallen water levels have exposed the hulks of more than 20 German warships, which were sunk during World War II. And apparently these sunken ships still hamper river traffic during low water levels like now.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over in Italy has also declared a state of emergency for areas around the River Po. And in late July, a previously submerged 450 kilogram World War II bomb was discovered in the low running waters.
So in that case, they didn't even know that this was submerged on
Exactly.
water. Okay.
So obviously it was a dangerous situation. So nearly 3,000 residents living near the village where the bomb was discovered had to be evacuated. And military experts were there. They defused and carried out a controlled explosion of this U.S.-made device.
Okay. So in this case, it seems like we avoided kind of perhaps a disaster situation that could have been impending. So So some silver lining in that sense. There's a lot to kind of weed through in the story, huh? I don't know how I feel about it.
What's that lake in the U.S.? Is it Lake Mead? It continues to recede because of the drought over there, and it's exposing more human remains.
Yes, Lake Mead, I think.
Yeah. Again, this is not happening in just one corner of the world. No. It's a trend that we're seeing.
And I mean, I just had a pleasure of traveling to Chicago in the United States. And usually in the month of August, it is not that cool. It is cool. And although Chicagoans are thinking this is nice, it's kind of, it raises a few question marks as to why the weather abnormalities are visible.
You know, over in England, it's gotten so hot. It exceeded 40 degrees Celsius, which rarely happens.
They're so underprepared for it because they're more used to, I don't know, the wet seasons and it's cooler. So a lot of homes didn't have ACs, as we talked about.
And you know what's happening? The trees are dying. They're shedding leaves like it's the fall season. You know, it's their way of, I don't know. They're sending us a message. It's a clear message that something is definitely not right.
I think nature has been sending us pretty blatant messages. Now it's even harder for us to ignore.
Yes.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Certainly not the last of it. On to our second buzzword of the day. One-off facial mask recycled into coat hangers?
Yes, these masks that we're wearing right now. Yeah. So Korean Group has succeeded in recycling these single-use masks through its in-house campaign. Now, the company, it specializes in chemical and textile businesses.
Yes.
And let me tell you a bit about this latest campaign. The company installed recycling boxes at 7 major workplaces across the country, as well as portable bags, so that the employees who work at these companies can collect the disposable face masks after use and throw them away in these recycling boxes.
Okay.
And after collecting the discarded masks, the company recycled them into coat hangers. And use them at its fashion affiliates outlets.
That's lovely, isn't it? The cycle is complete.
Exactly. Now, the first batch of masks were mixed with some other materials and were converted to about 2 tons of polypropylene pellets. These then became the material for 29,000 coat hangers the company created.
So, I mean, there have been other attempts to recycle polypropylene, which is a chemical material used in single-use face masks. But I think this is kind of a more high-profile one where they've succeeded in, again, completing that cycle.
And the reason why is because the process of separating mask components, including the filters, the nose wires, and the straps, is a really cumbersome process. It's quite complex.
You're right. I haven't even thought about it. I guess getting rid of this little nose part, I suppose the wires itself.
Yes.
How would you do that? Cut them through each time?
Yeah, so it's a complex process. And the company launched the used mask collecting and recycling campaign to address the issue of 60 million face masks that are wasted every month here in South Korea.
When you see it in numbers.
Yep, and it takes more than 450 years for these masks to decompose naturally, and that's definitely a hazard for the environment.
Okay, I'm going to try to bring out my cotton ones again and washing them.
Yes.
Just a friendly reminder, folks. It does take years, apparently hundreds of years, to decompose these face masks naturally.
Exactly. I mean, 60 million a month, you do the math. How long has the COVID been dragging on for?
Like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of masks.
Yes.
And on to our final buzzword of the day. Ever heard of Taco Tuesdays, folks? Is that a strictly North American thing?
I think it's very North American.
Yes, and it's pretty gimmicky if you look at the beginnings of Taco Tuesdays. I'm sure one struggling local taco place decided, okay, on Tuesdays, we're not really selling as many, so...
And it ended up being a smart marketing strategy.
But it's stuck because I don't know why we're obsessed with tacos in North America, but we are. And the thing is, we associate certain days of the week with certain food, apparently, and now we have data to back up that very fact.
You know, Koreans, on rainy days, for example, they say they crave makgeolli and pajeon, right?
Something about the way we fry the chon, right?
Yeah, it's the sound of the chon frying.
It sizzles.
Yeah, it sizzles, exactly. And it sort of resembles the sound of the raindrops falling on the roof.
Isn't that lovely? I thought, that's nice.
It really is.
I just thought it was delicious. But when I heard that full explanation, I was like, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah, so according to the latest report by Hana Bank's Hana Financial Management Research Institute, which analyzed payment data for Hana credit card used on delivery apps. Even throughout the course of the same weekend, there were noticeable differences in the menu items people ordered, depending on whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday.
That's funny. Do you see yourselves ordering a certain kind of food on a Saturday as opposed to a Sunday? I don't know.
I never thought about it.
Never.
I just order what I crave, but I guess there is a pattern.
I want to go look at my own set of data. Is there a pattern? Do I tend to order, I don't know, burgers on a Saturday and then Sunday's a salad to eat out?
So the menu item with the highest demand for delivery on Fridays and Saturdays was fried chicken.
I'm telling you, something about like I need to reward myself at the start of the weekend. And so fried chicken is delicious, but probably not the healthiest choice.
I know, it's not the healthiest.
Okay.
And on Saturdays, people craved 족발, pig trotters, and 보쌈 the most. And demand for pizza, Chinese food, and fast food was higher on Sundays than other days of the week. Why pizza, Chinese food, and fast food on Sundays? I don't know.
If there's, I mean, for me at least personally, if there's a common ground between these, it's my stress food. And so on Sundays, I'm getting ready for
Monday?
I don't know. One explanation.
Yeah. The report revealed that consumer demand for delivery food increased as the weekend approached. There's no surprise there. You know, people are like, oh, it's the weekend. I don't want to cook today. Let me have some fun and just relax.
Your lazy days.
Yeah. So 56 more people had food delivered to their homes on Sunday compared to Monday, and 66 more people ordered in food on Saturday compared to Monday.
I guess that makes sense, right? You need a few lazy days to yourself. So start of the weekend, you start to order more.
And here's something also interesting that I found. There were also differences in what people ordered depending on where they lived.
Really?
Yeah, so Chinese food was super popular in Guro Odong and Doksan Ildong.
Okay.
Raw fish and 돈가스, pork cutlets, were in high demand in Yeonhidong in Seodaemun-gu. And pizza was the number one favorite among residents in Yongsin-dong in Dongdaemun-gu, Seoul.
This is so interesting.
Right?
What drives this kind of change? Do you
know.
think there are more pizza spots in Yongsin-dong, Dongdaemun-gu?
That could be one of the reasons. I'm not sure if that's actually the case, but
or maybe it's just trendy in those towns. Who knows? But I think it's fascinating that depending on the time of the week and depending on where you live, more we're inclined to order things.
Exactly.
Now I'm just craving all of the above. Thanks, Erica.
Oh, it's been fun as always. I'll see you tomorrow.
For a delicious welcome. I'll see you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.